At my son's wedding, the bride looked me in the eye and said, "You need to leave. You're not family anymore." By sunset, the string quartet was still playing, just not for them. The hotel ballroom smelled like roses and starch. White chairs lined up in perfect rows, candles waiting for a match. I arrived early because that's what mothers do. We show up with safety pins, tissues, and a list of vendors saved in our phones. I had paid for all of it: the venue deposit, the caterer, the florist, the band, even the emergency tent in case the forecast changed its mind. My son, Michael, had promised to pay me back someday, and I had smiled and said, "I know, the way mothers do when the word someday feels like a hug." In the bridal suite, laughter snapped like gum. The new makeup artist dabbed at the bride's cheekbone while bridesmaids filmed each other for social media. The planner, a woman with a headset and a fixed smile, glided past like a figure skater. I knocked softly and stepped in with a garment bag. "I picked up the veil," I said. The seamstress reinforced the comb. The bride, Harper, didn't turn right away. She was beautiful in a hard, magazine way. Perfect bun, perfect liner, perfect posture. When she faced me, her eyes slid to the veil like it was a prop from the wrong movie. "That won't be necessary," she said. "We changed the look." "Oh," I said. "All right. I'll leave it here just in case." Her mother, a woman in champagne silk, appeared at Harper's shoulder. "We're keeping things simple," she told me in a tone that wasn't about simplicity at all. "The planner has it covered." The planner produced a clipboard like a magician produces scarves. "We're on schedule," she said brightly. "Family photos in the courtyard in 20. "Perfect," I said. "I'll meet you there." I turned to go when Harper's hand touched my arm, light cold. "Actually," she said, voice soft enough to cut, "could you sit photos out? It's complicated with the aesthetic." My throat went tight. The aesthetic? Her mother's smile didn't reach her eyes. "We're doing a very streamlined look. Just the wedding party." I stared at the bouquet buckets on the floor. I had written the deposit check for those flowers with a pen that skipped. I had triple-checked the caterer's nut allergy protocol. I had approved the late-night pizza truck because Michael loved garlic knots as a kid. "I'm Michael's mother," I said. Harper's mouth curved, polite and sharp. Michael agreed. "Today is about our new family. We don't want distractions." For a moment the room tilted, all silk and spray tan and the faint sugar of buttercream from downstairs. I thought of the little boy who used to fall asleep in the back seat with orange slices on his tongue. I thought of his text last night, "Don't fuss, Mom. It's all handled." "Understood," I said, and even I heard the steel in it. I stepped into the hallway, the door clicking shut behind me. The carpet swallowed my footsteps. At the end of the corridor, a mirror hung above a narrow table. I caught my own face in it. Lipstick too bright, hair too neat, expression steady the way a lake is steady right before a storm. I walked to the elevator and pressed L for lobby. In the gold light of the atrium, the vendors were lining up like chess pieces. The florist's assistant carried centerpieces like newborns. The band wheeled cases past the bar. The caterer set tasting spoons on a tray. I knew all their names. More important, they knew mine because every contract listed me as the payer and primary contact. The planner had asked for one company card to streamline day of balances. I had provided it. The remaining final installments, overtime approvals, bar overages, were all set to clear after the ceremony with one phone call. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which country you're watching this video from. Enjoy the story. I sat on a lobby sofa and pulled a thin blue folder from my bag. Tabs labeled in my handwriting: venue, catering, music, florals, photo/video. I flipped to venue and read the line I'd highlighted 2 months ago. Client reserves right to cancel remaining balance if services are refused or client is asked to vacate event. Client. That was me. The elevator chimed. Michael stepped out, tie loosened, hair a little too perfect. He spotted me, and his smile faltered. "Mom," he said, sliding his hands in his pockets like a teenager again. "You okay?" "I was told I'm not family," I said. My voice stayed calm. "By your bride." He flinched. It got tense upstairs. "Harper's stressed. You know how she gets when the plan is off." "I do now." He sat, elbows on knees. "Could you just keep a low profile today? For me?" "If I'm not family," I said, "then I'm a vendor. And vendors follow contracts." His head snapped up. "What does that mean?" "It means I read what I sign, Michael." He stared at the blue folder. The band tested a snare in the ballroom. Silverware chimed. Somewhere a waiter laughed. "Mom, please don't do anything," he said. "Not today." I closed the folder and slid it back into my bag. "That depends," I said, "on whether your bride wants my presents or just my money." He opened his mouth, shut it, and stood. "I have to get back," he said. "We'll talk later." "Of course," I said. "Later." He walked toward the elevator, shoulders tight under his jacket. The doors closed on his reflection. I took a breath and lifted my phone. The florist's number waited in my favorites. So did the venue manager, the bandleader, and the head of catering. I had a pen, a credit card, and a legal line highlighted in yellow. If they didn't want me in the pictures, they were about to learn what a missing piece looks like. And upstairs, the candles were still unlit. I sat in the lobby with my phone in my hand, my son's words still echoing. "Please don't do anything." Not today. But hadn't they already done something? I wasn't family, just a distraction. If that was true, then I wasn't bound by family loyalty anymore. I was bound only by the contracts in my folder, and those gave me more power than Harper realized. The florist was first. I dialed her number while the atrium filled with the sound of shuffling guests upstairs. "Delilah," I said, keeping my voice low. "It's Linda Carter." "Yes, for the Thompson Carter wedding. I'm calling to cancel the balance authorization. Don't deliver the centerpieces to the ballroom. Please pick them up before the ceremony starts." There was a pause then, but, "Mrs. Carter, we already placed them." "Then remove them," I said. "Legally, I am the client, and I've revoked consent. Do you understand?" Her voice trembled. "Yes, ma'am." I ended the call. My hands weren't shaking. They were steady, calm, and purposeful. The band leader was next. "Carl," I said when he answered, "don't start your set tonight. I've canceled the final payment. Without that, the contract is void. Pack up quietly, please." He sputtered. "What do I tell the planner?" "Tell her the payer said no." One by one, the strings began to cut. Catering was harder. They were already prepping entrees in the hotel kitchen. But the final balance, a hefty 5 figures, wasn't due until halfway through service. "Ms. Carter," the manager said, "you can't just—" "I can, and I have. If you serve on faith. The money won't clear." He went silent, then muttered, "Understood." I closed the folder and put the phone on the table. Around me, guests in jewel-toned dresses and rented tuxedos streamed toward the elevators, laughing, checking lipstick, straightening ties. None of them knew the ballroom upstairs was slowly hollowing out. I leaned back, watching the chandeliers flicker overhead. Part of me wanted to feel guilt, but all I felt was a strange, cold relief. I wasn't ruining the day. They had already ruined it the moment Harper looked me in the eye and said I wasn't family. The elevator opened, and the planner swept out, headset flashing. She spotted me instantly, her smile too bright, too rehearsed. "Mrs. Carter, we need you upstairs for the guest photos," she chirped. "Not today," I said evenly. She tilted her head. "Oh, I'm sure Harper didn't mean—" "I know exactly what Harper meant." Her smile cracked. "Well, in any case, everything's running smoothly. The band, the caterer, the flowers." I raised an eyebrow. "Are they?" Her phone buzzed. She glanced down, and I saw the panic flicker in her eyes as she read message after message. "Excuse me," she whispered, hurrying away. I sat there, pulled steadily, and waited. Minutes later, Michael appeared. His tie was loose, his face flushed. He pulled me to my feet, lowering his voice so nearby guests wouldn't hear. "What did you do?" he demanded. "I reminded everyone who was paying," I said. His jaw clenched. "Mom, this is my wedding." "No," I corrected softly. "It was your wedding. Until you let someone erase me from it. Now it's just a very expensive party without funding." He ran a hand through his hair. "Harper's furious. She says you're trying to humiliate her." I let out a laugh, quiet, bitter. "She humiliated me first." He stared at me, torn, boyish, the way he used to look when caught between truth and trouble. "So, what happens now?" I picked up the folder, tapped it against my palm. Now she learns what family really means. And what happens when you cut someone out of it. Upstairs, I heard the faint crack of a microphone. Feedback from a sound system no one was manning anymore. The guests were settling in, unaware that their perfect wedding was unraveling stitch by stitch. Michael rubbed his forehead. "You've started something you can't undo." "Good," said. "Then maybe she'll never forget it." And with that, I sat back down in the lobby, calm as stone, waiting for the chaos to reach her. The first sign came with the flowers. Guests filled the ballroom expecting lush centerpieces of roses and hydrangeas. Instead, half the table stood bare, vases removed in a quiet exodus. Murmurs spread like wildfire. "Budget cut," one woman whispered. No, they showed us samples last night," another replied, confused. Up at the head table, Harper's smile thinned as she realized the vision she had spent months curating. The aesthetic was unraveling before her guests' eyes. The second sign came minutes later. The band set up their equipment, tuned a guitar, and then packed it all away. Chairs scraped, cases slammed shut, cords rolled into neat coils. By the time Harper noticed, the quartet she had bragged about on social media was wheeling their speakers through the side doors. "What's happening?" she hissed to the planner. The planner's headset buzzed with static as she scrambled to intercept, but the bandleader only handed her a crisp sheet of paper. Balance canceled. Services terminated. Then he walked out without another word. The room began to buzz. No music, no flowers. Something was wrong. And then the caterer struck. Trays of hors d'oeuvres appeared in the doorway, but the servers carried them straight back out again. One by one, silver platters vanished into the kitchen. Guests waited hungrily, holding empty champagne flutes. Harper's father marched toward the kitchen to demand answers, but the manager met him with the same simple truth. Without payment, there is no meal. By now, Michael's forehead was damp with sweat. He tugged Harper aside, voice low but sharp. "We need to talk." She pulled her arm free. "Not now. Smile. They're watching." "Smile? Half the vendors are gone." "Then go fix it," she snapped. He ran a hand over his face. "I can't fix it. She controls the contracts." Her eyes widened. "She? Your mother?" He didn't answer, but his silence was louder than anything else in the room. Meanwhile, I sat calmly in the lobby, listening to the faint echoes of chaos drifting down the hall. Guests shuffled, voices rose, and the planner's heels clicked frantically across marble floors. My phone buzzed again with calls from numbers I recognized: florist, planner, caterer, but I let them all go unanswered. Finally, the elevator doors opened, and out stormed Harper herself. Her veil was tilted, lipstick smudged from biting her lip. She spotted me instantly. "You!" she hissed, striding across the lobby in stilettos that stabbed the carpet. "What have you done?" I closed the blue folder gently. "I canceled the payments." Her mouth dropped open. "You can't just." "I can. I'm a client. Every contract has my signature." Her cheeks flushed crimson. "You're ruining the happiest day of my life." I tilted my head. "You ruined at the moment you told me I wasn't family." For a moment, she looked like she might slap me, But she didn't. She just stood there, trembling before spitting out, "You'll regret this. Michael will never forgive you." I stood, adjusting my coat. Maybe. But at least I won't be paying to erase myself from his life. Before she could reply, Michael appeared. His tie hung loose, his eyes wide with desperation. "Mom, please," he begged. "The guests are restless. Harper's breaking down. Just put the payments back." I studied him. My son. The boy I raised, now a man standing between loyalty to me and devotion to a woman who had tried to cut me out. "You want me to save this wedding?" I asked. "Yes," he whispered. "Please." I searched his face for the boy who once clung to my hand in crowded grocery stores, who once built towers of blocks and cried when they toppled. That boy had grown into a man who let someone else decide his mother was disposable. "No," I said softly. "You'll have to save it yourself." The planner rushed in then, headset crackling, whispering to Harper that the caterer had officially walked. The guests were restless, heading toward the bar, murmuring about refunds. The ballroom, the carefully curated dream, was collapsing. Michael's shoulders sagged. Harper's mascara streaked down her cheeks. And me? I simply picked up my folder and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard Harper scream my name, but I didn't look back. The ceremony might go on, but the celebration was already in ruins. By the time I stepped outside, dusk had settled over the hotel courtyard. Guests spilled from the ballroom in clusters, murmuring like bees shaken from their hive. Some clutched their coats, others their half-empty glasses of wine. The air smelled of roses and candle wax that had burned for nothing. One older guest leaned toward another and whispered loudly enough for me to hear, "No food, no music, no flowers. What kind of wedding is this?" I kept walking, my heels steady on the pavement, though my heart pounded. Inside, I had left behind a ballroom of chaos. Outside, I walked into the storm it created. Near the valet stand, I paused. Through the wide glass windows of the ballroom, I could see Harper standing on the stage where vows were meant to be exchanged. Her gown glittered under the chandeliers, but her posture was broken. She gripped the microphone, pleading with guests to stay. Michael stood a step behind her, face pale, jaw clenched. But the guests weren't listening. They were leaving. Some shook their heads. Others muttered about refunds. And a few I noticed cast looks of sympathy, not at Harper, but at me. The planner stormed out the side door, headset dangling uselessly around her neck. She spotted me instantly, her face flushed. "You've destroyed my career," she hissed. I met her eyes calmly. "You destroyed it the moment you sided with Harper instead of the person paying you." Her lips pressed tight, and she turned away, muttering into her phone. I thought about leaving right then, sliding into my car and never looking back. But before I could, Michael burst through the doors. He looked around, spotted me, and hurried over. "Mom," he said, his voice ragged. "Please, just help us. Please." The desperation in his voice cut me deeper than Harper's cruelty ever could. This was my son, my boy, torn apart on his own wedding day. For a moment, my resolve wavered. "I warned you," I said softly. "I told you what would happen if you let her push me out." He dragged a hand through his hair. "I know. I thought she'd calm down. I thought," his voice cracked. "God, Mom, I thought we could keep the peace." "There's no peace in letting someone erase your family," I said. "That's not peace, it's surrender." Behind him, Harper appeared in the doorway. Her face was streaked with tears, mascara running down her cheeks. She looked less like a bride and more like a ghost of the woman who had strutted into that bridal suite earlier with all the confidence in the world. "This is your fault," she spat, pointing at me. "You ruined everything." Guests nearby froze, their eyes darting between us. The spectacle was no longer private, it was public. "No," I said evenly. "You ruined at the moment you decided my presence was worth less than my money." The words hung heavily in the air. Harper's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came. Michael looked between us, torn apart, shoulders slumping as if the weight of the entire day had finally collapsed on him. "I need to think," he muttered, backing away. He disappeared into the crowd of guests, leaving Harper alone at the doorway, trembling. The silence that followed was almost worse than the shouting. Guests whispered, phones flashed, some recording, others taking photos. The fairy tale wedding had become a scandal before it ever truly began. I finally turned and walked to my car. My hands shook only once as I slid the key into the ignition. The engine roared to life, steady and dependable. Unlike the vows upstairs, it didn't falter. But as I drove away, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You've made a powerful enemy tonight. Hope it was worth it." My breath caught. Was it Harper? Her mother? Someone else? I gripped the wheel tighter and kept driving, because deep down I knew the war hadn't ended. It had only just begun. The next morning, the news had already traveled faster than I could drive. A local gossip blog posted, "Lavish hotel wedding ends in chaos. Guests leave hungry." Someone had uploaded shaky phone footage of Harper screaming in the doorway, mascara streaked, while guests shuffled out. My name wasn't mentioned, but the story was everywhere by breakfast. I sat at my kitchen table with coffee gone cold, staring at my phone as message after message buzzed through. Some were sympathetic, old friends, neighbors, people who had been at the wedding and whispered their support as they slipped out. Others were less kind, demanding to know why I had ruined my son's big day. By noon, Michael showed up at my door. His suit was wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot, his tie shoved into his pocket. He didn't knock. He just opened the door with the key I had given him years ago and never got back. "Mom," he said, his voice raw, "we need to talk." I gestured to the chair across from me. "Sit." He did, burying his face in his hands. Everything fell apart. Harper's furious. Her parents are threatening to sue. Guests are demanding refunds. And I don't even know what to say to anyone. I sipped my coffee steady. Maybe start with the truth. Tell them you married someone who thought money mattered more than family. He lifted his head, eyes red. "You didn't have to go that far. You humiliated me." "I protected myself," I said, calm but sharp. "You stood by while your bride erased me. Do you know what that felt like? To be told, on your wedding day, that you're not family anymore. That my presence was a distraction." His jaw tightened. "She didn't mean it like that." "Michael," I said softly. "Yes, she did." The silence stretched. He broke it first. "She says it's me or you. She won't forgive what you did. If I stay with her, she doesn't want you in our lives." My heart squeezed, but I didn't flinch. "Then you'll have to choose. Not because I want you to, but because she already forced that choice the moment she opened her mouth." He stared at me, searching for an answer in my face. But I wouldn't rescue him from the truth. He stood abruptly, pushing the chair back. "I need time." I nodded. "Take it. But know this. Blood runs deeper than vows spoken by someone who sees family as a wallet." He left without another word. That night, I sat alone in my living room, replaying every moment of the wedding. The laughter in the bridal suite, the cold dismissal, the empty ballroom, Harper's scream, and my son, torn between the life he thought he wanted and the truth staring him in the face. Days passed. The story didn't fade, it grew. Vendors whispered. Guests told their versions. The ruined wedding became a cautionary tale in town, a reminder of what happens when pride and greed try to build a marriage. Then, a week later, Michael came back. This time he looked different. His suit was gone, replaced with jeans and a hoodie. His eyes were clearer, steadier. "She left," he said simply. "She packed her things, went back to her parents. Said I wasn't ambitious enough, that I let you control everything." "And what do you think?" I asked. He sank into the chair, rubbing his hands together. "I think she showed me who she really is, and you showed me who I almost lost." The weight in my chest lifted, but I didn't smile. Not yet. Marriage is supposed to build, not burn. You can rebuild, Michael. But only if you choose people who know the value of loyalty over money. He nodded slowly. I know that now. For a long moment, we sat in silence. Then he whispered, I'm sorry, Mom. This time I smiled. So am I. But sometimes the only way to see the truth is to let the lights go out. Outside, the night was quiet, no music, no guests, no flowers. Just a mother and her son, rebuilding the bond that mattered most. And as I watched him sit across from me, stripped of illusions, I realized something. The wedding may have ended in disaster, but the lesson it taught would last a lifetime. Because money can buy chandeliers, champagne, and string quartets, but it can't buy respect, and it will never buy family.